With the launch to Destiny 2 Lightfall and the introduction to Strand, this little green thing right here, today's build revolves around two things: suspending your targets midair, aka stringing them up like puppets, and gaining as much ability energy as possible. Don't believe me? Check this out. The only thing you need for today's build is to have Strand unlocked and have as many unlocks as possible. You know the saying, the more the merrier. Now, if you're still unlocking all your abilities for Strand, no worries. I have a video on how to farm Strand meditations, and you can find that down in the description. Lastly, you can find timestamps down below of this entire build, so feel free to jump around. But with that out of the way, let's get started with today's build. Now, the subclass of choice is, well, none other than the threadrunner, the only Strand subclass we have. Now, don't worry about abilities such as the gambler's dodge, whatever jump you want to choose, or the melee. The most important is going to be the grenade. Guys, we have three choices. We have either the threadling grenade, the grapple, and the shackle grenade. For today's build, you want to use the shackle grenade because we want to suspend our enemies in the air. Now, when it comes to aspects, we only have two choices, but those two choices actually benefit today's build. We have Widow's Silk, which is going to give us an additional grenade charge, aka 2 shackle grenades. The next aspect is Ensnaring Slam, aka Shatter Dive but for Strand. Now this one's fairly simple. Activate your air move to consume your class ability energy and dive to the ground, suspending all nearby targets on impact. Using this ability extends class ability cooldown time. What if I told you that today's build negates that last sentence altogether? Now we do have access to 5 total fragments, but for today's build, we only need 2. Our fragment of choice is none other than the Thread of Mind. Defeating suspended targets grants class ability energy. And we have Thread of Wisdom. Defeating suspended targets with precision final blows creates an orb of power. Lastly, you can just throw this one in there, Thread of Ascend. Activating your grenade ability reloads your equipped weapon and grants bonus airborne effectiveness and handling for a short duration. As for that last fragment slot, you can pretty much slot anything you want in there. For me, I went with Thread of Fury. Damaging targets with a tangle grants melee energy. Now, before we get into the gameplay loop or any of the mods, let's talk about the driving force behind this build: the weapon and the exotic armor. Our weapon of choice is none other than the Riptide. I know, shock, gasp. It's a Riptide without chill clip? Yes, there's a reason for it. This Riptide has Demolitionist. Now, for those of you who are wondering, why is Brave using a Demolitionist Riptide? Guys, at the launch of Lightfall, Bungie nerfed all abilities across the board, including your grenades. But what if I told you that utilizing this Riptide with Demolitionist will grant you 20% grenade ability energy with each kill? Well, it does, and not only that, it feels like the nerf never even happened. Your grenade comes back extremely fast. And since we are throwing our grenade with this build, with the perk Demolitionist, activating your grenade ability reloads this weapon from reserves, thus double dipping. Get a kill, gain 20% grenade energy. Throw your grenade, refill this entire weapon. Now the exotic of choice, the Sixth Coyote. Yes, this one's fairly simple to break down. Double dodge. Gain a second dodge charge. That's pretty much it. The Sixth Coyote will give you an additional class ability charge. Now before we get into the mods for today's build, let's take a look at the UI screen. As you can tell, we have 2 grenade charges and 2 dodge charges. And look, with today's build, we're going to be filling up these things constantly. Now to quickly cover the mods, and guys, trust me, I'm so excited for the mods in Lightfall because everyone has access to them. For starters, in the helmet area, the 2 mods that you want to have is Stasis Siphon. Rapid stasis weapon final blows create an orb of power. Yes, our Riptide is stasis, and when we get multiple kills with it, we're going to generate an orb of power. And when we pick up that orb of power, we have 1 armor charge. Now when it comes to our gauntlets, we want to use 3 grenade kickstart mods. When your grenade charge is fully expended, you gain grenade energy. Something to keep in mind is when you have additional armor charges like you see on screen 4, when I consume my grenade, this is going to activate grenade kickstart and I'll gain additional grenade energy. As you can tell, I got half of it back with this many armor charges. Which is awesome because prior to Lightfall, if you had an ability that gave you 2 charges, you would not be able to use grenade kickstart. Now on our Sixth Coyote, I want you to run 2 charged up mods. This is going to allow us to have more armor charges. The reason we can stack up to 4 is because we have charged up. Moving into our leg armor, we want to run 2 innervation mods. This is going to reduce our grenade cooldown each time we pick up an orb of power. Not only are we getting armor charges from the orbs that we're creating with the Riptide, but now we're having a faster cooldown on our grenade. Now the last mod on our leg armor is stacks on stacks. Picking up an orb of power grants 1 additional stack of armor charge. Keep in mind that there's no additional benefit from running 2 of these mods, hence why we're only utilizing 1. With this mod, when we pick up that 1 orb of power, this gives us 2 stacks of armor charges. And if we pick up a second orb of power, that's going to give us a total of 4 armor charges. Now moving into our cloak, we want to utilize 3 bomber mods, in which we reduce our grenade cooldown when we use our class ability. Now this one has a fairly simple gameplay loop. We want to suspend our enemies as much as possible. By doing so, we can activate Thread of Mind. Every time we kill a suspended enemy, we gain class ability energy. Now we have 2 options when it comes to suspending enemies. We can use the Shackle Grenade, or we can utilize the Ensnaring Slam, both of which will suspend all nearby enemies on impact. Now here comes the fun part. When they're suspended in the air, we want to utilize the Riptide. When we kill these enemies with the Riptide, not only are we activating Thread of Mind, but we're activating Demolitionist, thus charging our class ability and our grenade at the same time. But hey, let's not forget Stasis Siphon. When we get double kills with that Riptide, we're dropping an orb of power. This is going to activate Charged Up, giving us armor charges, and activate Stacks on Stacks, and activate Innervation. Now, if you got plenty of weapon kills with your Riptide, more than likely you'll have a full grenade. But if not, no worries. Go ahead and use your grenade. This is going to activate Grenade Kickstart, giving you more grenade energy. Now, the most effective way I found to utilize this build is by utilizing my grenade charge first. Once these enemies are suspended in the air, I utilize my Riptide and get multiple kills, thus dropping an orb of power. Picking that up gives me an armor charge and activates the mod Innervation. But let's not forget this. If you still need a grenade charge, we are utilizing the Sixth Coyote. Meaning, if we just use our dodge ability, we'll gain grenade energy from it because of our bomber mods, which makes things much simpler. If you need grenade energy, go ahead and use your class ability and just dodge. This is going to give you a good amount of grenade energy because of the 3 bomber mods. Now, if you need your class ability energy, simple. Use your grenade, suspend the enemies, and kill them. This will activate Thread of Mind. And for those wondering, no, I did not put a lot of mobility or discipline into my armor stats. I mostly focus towards resilience and recovery, since in PvE, those matter the most. Also, since the Hunter's dodge is tied to mobility, it didn't really matter because that has the fastest cooldown. And when it came to my discipline, my grenade cooldown, the Riptide did all the work for me to get my grenade back. And that's the build for today. I never thought I'd be utilizing the Sixth Coyote in PvE, especially when it came to Strand. So far, this is my favorite build for PvE when it comes to utilizing Strand. Being able to utilize my abilities over and over was the power fantasy that I wanted for Destiny 2 Lightfall. Go out there, try this build out, comment down below and let me know what you think of it. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out today. You have a good one and I will see you in the next video.